Obviously, there's a lot at stake for this program with this game. How are you keeping everyone focused this week on the smaller picture as opposed to the bigger picture?
Well, I mean, in terms of keeping it focused, it's not hard. You're playing for something week 9, and you're playing against a quality opponent that's had our number for several years now. So, our kids are focused and they're ready to play, and they're excited about the opportunity, and they're excited about not just this week, but the remaining weeks that we have left to play together.
I'm sure this has got to feel good as a coach because you preach all season long, just focus on what you have to do, and now you guys control your own destiny, which is all you can ask for, right?
Absolutely. We put ourselves in a position a couple weeks ago to have at least a share, but obviously we don't want just a share. Went up to Kendallville last week and really got taken to the woodshed by a very good East Noble team, and so we get to finish out against our nemesis, which is Homestead, and so I guess this is the way it's meant to be.
6 points, I think, is most people would say that's a surprising final total for you guys, given what you've done throughout the season. Any glaring issues that you noticed in the game that you're correcting in practice this week?
I believe we had 6 trips inside the red zone, and 2 East Noble's credit, their red zone defense was incredible. We hurt ourselves 4 times out of those 6. We had penalties, 10-yard holding penalties that just kind of pushed it and stalled out drives. And then they forced turnovers in the red zone, which is something we haven't given up. And so those are issues that we've got to fix. I think it's uncharacteristic for us. I think it's a product of an East Noble team that was ready to play and that was hitting hard, as well as, just a lack of focus on our part.
Long term, do you view it as a good thing? Use that as a teaching tool? I mean, you never want to lose, but maybe a game like that before what's at stake this week, before you get into sectional play?
Well, I didn't feel like we went in that game overconfident by any stretch of imagination. Our kids were ready to play. We just got outplayed. And, you could take a look at it. East Noble had a tough loss against Norwell a few weeks ago, and that refocused that group and re-energized that group. And we kind of talked about this week, let's let that be our game that refocuses us and re-energizes us as we make a push into the playoffs.
Last week aside, do you feel like this team is kind of nearing that peak or at their peak as you get ready for the postseason?
What I like most about this team that we didn't have maybe even a year ago was their focus consistently. No matter who we play, they seem like they're mentally and physically ready to play, and it's shown up until last week. And so that's just something that we got to continue to focus on as a coaching staff and as players. Is every week at this point can be our last, and so we got to play like it's our last.
It's a scrappy Homestead team, maybe a little bit different than we've seen in years past. What are some of the things that you guys need to key on when it comes to the Spartans?
Homestead's Homestead. I mean, I know they've lost a couple of games this year, but they're still a Homestead Spartans, and the teams that dominate the NHC for all these years. And so we certainly aren't approaching this any differently than we did a year ago. They're a good football team up front defensively. Their front 3 and 4 are as active off the ball as East Noble was, and so obviously they handled us up front last week, and so we've got to address that this week. And they've got playmakers on the offense side of the ball, and they still do a great job on special teams. And if we get a victory against Homestead, it's going to be well earned. A
potentially historic win for you guys would it be fitting if it came against Homestead? Is the team that you guys want to do it against?
I would have been fine if it came last week, but obviously this is a team that we've struggled against. The last 3 years we've had a chance to at least share conference going into week 9 against Homestead, and we haven't gotten it done. And so I guess if it were to happen come this week, it would be a fitting way to win it.